All right, guys, this is a paid request. Shout out to Rana. Actually, I'm not sure how to say her name. Shout out to her. Thank you. Big supporter of the channel, so that's much appreciated. Just because I'm paid to do a request does not mean I'm going to enjoy it. So I go into it kind of with an open mind. But I know I know some people have recommended this before, and I'm curious. You know, I've been told it's kind of over a jazz thing, and it's a poem about critical thought. So I don't know who Tim Minchin is. You know, I have no idea who this guy is, where he's from, what his deal is, but I could tell he's got like some mascara or eyeliner. I don't know my makeup, guys. You know, I'm curious, but here we go. Let's get right into it, see what Tim's got for us.
I think I can speak for contemporary males. I don't know if you guys agree. You know, you get to that point in your life, like I think mostly in the early 30s for men anyway, where you start to realize that everything you want to say, everything you want to express in your life can't necessarily be expressed in comedy song.
For the record, I'm a huge fan of comedy. I do like fake reactions to myself on the channel. I do like satirical reactions. So I'm a big fan of just comedy in general. And so anything, you know, I'm one of those people, joke about whatever, you know, obvious, like jokes are jokes, you know, but I'll shut up. I'm sorry, guys. Let's keep going.
You know, and I think it's at this point in your average man's life when he might choose to write a 9-minute beat poem.
Most men hit that point, for sure.
This is a 9-minute beat poem. It's called
Jimmy Carr. Great comedian from the UK, by the way.
Storm. In a North London top floor flat, all white walls, white carpet, white cat, rice paper partitions, modern art and ambition. The host's a physician, bright bloke, has his own practice. His girlfriend's an actress, an old mate of ours from home. And they're always great fun, so to dinner we've come. The fifth guest is an unknown. The hosts have just thrown us together for a favour, because this girl's just arrived from Australia and she's moved to North London and she's a sister of someone or has some connection. As we make introductions, I'm struck by her beauty. She's irrefutably fair with dark eyes and dark hair. But as she sits, I admit I'm a little bit wary, because I notice the tip of the wing of a fairy tattooed on that popular area just above the derriere. And when she says, I'm Sagittarian, I confess a pigeonhole starts to form and is immediately filled with pigeon when she says her name is Storm. Conversation is initially bright and light-hearted, but it's not long before Storm gets started. You can't know anything. Knowledge is merely opinion.
Guys, I live in a very like hippie city. You know, it's like, without getting into, like, I live in a very hippie, like progressive new, I don't know if meta is the right word, but if I had a dime for every time I've heard something like that, man, I could quit my job right now.
She opines over her Cabernet Sauvignon vis-a-vis some unhippily empirical comment made by me. Not a good start, I think. We're only on pre-dinner drinks and
Also, side note, Dave Chappelle has this little bit he does where it's jazz comedy. Definite, if you guys like this, definitely worth checking out, 100%.
Across the room, my wife widens her eyes, silently begs me, be nice. A matrimonial warning not worth ignoring, so I resist the urge to ask Storm whether knowledge is so loose weave of a morning when deciding whether to leave her apartment by the front door or the window on her second floor. The food is delicious, and Storm, whilst avoiding all meat, happily sits and eats as the good
whilst avoiding all meat. Man, all right, let's keep going.
Doctor slightly pissedly holds court on some anachronistic aspect of medical history when Storm suddenly insists, but the human body is a mystery. Science just falls in a hole when it tries to explain the nature of the soul. My hostess throws me a glance. She, like my wife, knows there's a chance I'll be off on one of my rare but fun rants, but I shan't. My lips are sealed. I just want to enjoy the meal. And although Storm is starting to get my goat, I have no intention of rocking the boat. Although it's becoming a bit of a wrestle because, like her meteorological namesake, Storm has no such concerns for our vessel. Pharmaceutical companies...
Oh, God, man. Thank you, Raina, man. Thank you. Oh, my God, dude.
Storm has no such concerns for our vessel. Pharmaceutical companies are the enemy. They promote drug dependency at the cost of the natural remedies that all our bodies need. They are immoral and driven by greed. Why take drugs when herbs can solve it? Why use chemicals when homeopathic solvents can resolve it? I think it's time we all return to live with natural medical alternatives. And try as I like, a small crack appears in my diplomacy dike. By definition, I begin, alternative medicine, I continue, has either not been proved to work or been proved not to work. Do you know what they call alternative medicine that's been proved to work?
Medicine. So I like, this is comedy, man. I love this. I'm not here to say like, oh, I agree with this or okay. It's jokes. It's comedy, guys. Okay? If you sat down with this guy and had a conversation, he's probably people don't seem to understand, like, jokes are jokes. Let's keep going, man.
So you don't believe in any natural remedies? On the contrary, Storm, actually, before we came to tea, I took a remedy derived from the bark of a willow tree. A painkiller that's virtually side effect free. It's got a weird name. Darling, what was it again? Masprin? Oh yeah, aspirin. Which I paid about $1 for down at the local drugstore. The debate briefly abates as my hosts collect plates. But when they return with desserts, Storm pertly asserts, Shakespeare said it first. There are more things in heaven and earth than exist in your philosophy. Science is just how we're trained to look at reality. It doesn't explain love or spirituality. How does science explain psychics, auras, the afterlife, the power of prayer? I'm becoming aware that I'm staring. I'm like a rabbit suddenly trapped in the blinding headlights of vacuous crap. Maybe it's the Hamlet she just misquaffed, or the 6th glass of wine I just quaffed, but my diplomacy dike groans, and the asshole held back by its stones can be held back no more. Look, Storm, sorry, I don't mean to bore you.
The asshole held back by its stones. I mean, I don't know about the UK, but, you know, stones is like a term for balls in the US, at least. I don't know if there was a double meaning. You know, that, yeah, let's keep going, man.
No such thing as an aura. Reading auras is like reading minds, or tea leaves, or star signs, or meridian lines. These people aren't plying a skill. They're either lying or mentally ill. Same goes for people who claim to hear God's demands and spiritual healers who think they've got magic hands. By the way, why do we think it's okay for people to pretend they can talk to the dead? Isn't that totally fucked in the head, lying to some crying woman whose child has died and telling you you're in touch with the other side? I think that is fundamentally sick. Do we need to clarify here that there's no such thing as a psychic? What are we, fucking two? Do we actually think that Horton heard a who?
Yeah.
Do we still believe that?
Come on, I want to see it again, man. This is a great work of art, really. This is a great poem. I like it. It's kind of like a free verse spoken. It's called like spoken word. That's at least what I know it as. But kind of like a spoken word poem over a jazz beat. So that's pretty cool to see.
Is fundamentally sick. Do we need to clarify here that there's no such thing as a psychic? What are we, fucking two? Do we actually think that Horton heard a who? Do we still believe that Santa brings us gifts, that Michael Jackson didn't have facelifts? Are we still so stunned by circus tricks that we think the dead would want to talk to pricks like John Edward? Storm, to her credit, despite my derision, keeps firing
I don't know
off
who that
cliches
is.
with startling precision, like a sniper using bollocks for ammunition. You're so sure of your position, but you're just closed-minded. I think you'll find that your faith in science and tests is just as blind as the faith of any fundamentalist. Wow, that's a good point. Let me think for a bit. Oh, wait, my mistake. That's absolute bullshit. Science adjusts its views based on what's observed. Faith is the denial of observations so that belief can be preserved. If you show me that, say, homeopathy works, then I will change my mind. I will spin on a fucking dime. I'll be as embarrassed as hell, but I will run through the streets yelling, "It's a miracle! Take physics and bin it. Water has memory, and whilst its memory of a long-lost drop of onion juice seems infinite, it somehow forgets all the poo it's had in it. You show me that it works and how it works, and when I've recovered from the shock, I will take a compass and carve fancy that on the side of my cock." Everyone's just staring now, but I'm pretty pissed and I've dug this far down, so I figure, in for
Go
a
deeper.
penny, in for a pound. Life is full of mysteries, yeah, but there are answers out there, and they won't be found by people sitting around looking serious and saying, "Isn't life mysterious? Let's sit here and hope. Let's call up the fucking Pope. Let's go watch Oprah interview Deepak Chopra." If you want to watch telly, you should watch Scooby-Doo. That show was so cool because every time there was a
Here it
church with a
comes.
ghoul or a ghost in a school, they looked beneath the mask, and what was inside? Oh, a fucking janitor or the dude who ran the water slide. Because throughout history, every mystery ever solved has turned out to be not magic. Does the idea that there might be knowledge frighten you? Does the idea that one afternoon on Wikipedia...
Thank you. I think like some people are scared of certainty. Like they're scared of like something being real. Like, oh, there's kind of like a clear answer. Like, oh, that was wrong. That was right. And it's once again, it's not like, you know, I don't know. I do think some people are genuinely afraid of a clear answer. Yeah, I'll let the man talk because every like thought he explores it and he goes deeper into it.
Does the idea that there might be knowledge frighten you? Does the idea that one afternoon on Wikipedia might enlighten you frighten you? Does the notion that there might not be a supernatural so blow your hippie noodle that you'd rather just stand in the fog of your inability to Google? Isn't this enough? Just this world? Just this beautiful, complex, wonderfully unfathomable natural world? How does it so fail to hold our attention that we have to diminish it with the invention of cheap, man-made myths and monsters? If you're so into your Shakespeare, lend me your ear. To gild refined gold, to paint the lily, to throw perfume on the violet, it's just fucking silly. Or something like that. Or what about Satchmo? I'll see trees of green, red roses too. And fine, if you wish to glorify Krishna and Vishnu in a post-colonial, condescending, bottled up and labelled kind of way, then whatever, that's okay. But here's what gives me a hard on. I am a tiny, insignificant, ignorant bit of carbon. I have one life, and it is short and unimportant. But thanks to recent scientific advances, I get to live twice as long as my great uncles and aunts.
Yeah, man.
Twice as long to live
Due to medicine, maybe? I don't know.
this life of mine. Twice as long to love this wife of mine. Twice as many years of friends and wine, of sharing curries and getting shitty at good-looking hippies with fairies on their spines and butterflies on their titties. And if perchance I have offended, think but this and all is mended. We'd as well be 10 minutes back in time for all the chance you'll change your mind.
Wow, man. So I'm assuming that falls into the performative art category, but I really like seeing some, like, there's so much flash and glamour in the world now. I mean, all these music videos, there's so much flash and glamour, and things move so fast, just at a blistering pace. It's insane to me. I really do like slowing down. I mean, there's a time and a place for things moving fast, but I really do like slowing down and just kind of thinking and just soaking something in. You know, it's jazz, it's loose, it's slow. And he goes deep into each little section and explores it. I really like I like analytical. I like analyzing things. I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I do like breaking things down, because to me it's like, man, I don't see a point in just doing one after another of whatever you're doing. Like, I like to really understand what's going on, because it helps me. It helps me make sense of things. So that's really cool to see. If there's other stuff by Tim Minchin, or just other things like this where it's kind of a slower pace, I really do enjoy it. And he kind of takes you on the journey as well, and into his thought process and in this conversation. And once again, I do live in a very hippie, I guess hippie city would be the best way to put it. And there's a lot of, like, I think it's called like moral relativism, and just a really loose, like, well, you can't really know anything. Like, we don't really know what's real. And nothing. It's like, man, you're entitled to your opinions and your thoughts, but so are other people. No one has to, like, just because one person thinks a certain way doesn't mean the other person has to agree. Like, there's a big trend in like U.S. society, at least, where like people will just agree with other people just because that's like what you do. Like, to be cool, you agree with, just like, oh, totally, even if you think it's complete bullshit. I don't think that's good, and I honestly, I don't get along with a lot of people in my generation, simply because I'm not like a dick, but I'm not just going to reaffirm every word that comes out of everybody's mouths. And so therefore, there's some circles, not everyone, but there are some circles in my generation I can't hang out with for that reason. So I make YouTube videos naturally. I have no friends, so therefore, I might as well make YouTube videos, find like-minded people. But I will say, if you like this video, don't like the channel, don't subscribe, don't comment, because channel's getting too big. I really don't want people on the channel. I made the channel just so that I could watch my own videos on YouTube. It was a stupid childhood dream, and people started showing up, and they started saying stuff like, hey, great reaction, I really like your insights. Oh, you're funny. What am I supposed to do with that? I want to be left alone on the internet. It's a very simple and should be an easy thing to achieve, being left alone on the internet. I'll wrap this up before people start getting bright ideas about this, man. It happens every time.